like that's why, because everybody felt to me so much real in this movie. Like I could actually meet somebody with that. If Hulk showed up in this movie, he's killed the crap out of beat the crap out of everybody at the end. Hulk smash. And we're back.
Okay, we're back. So now we're going to do
Code 8.
Oh,
my movie.
Yes, you, George.
My movie, because Canadian. The movie called Code 8. Let's watch the trailer.
You know, that's funny. Was this actually Canadian?
Yeah. Oh,
I
absolutely.
didn't know that.
Totally Canadian.
He did a
Jinx to the
what do
sky.
you call that? A fundraiser?
Oh, GoFundMe?
To make this movie.
Oh, for the lead actor. Or the
And they were
producer?
looking for $200,000. They ended up getting $3 million.
Oh wow!
You know?
They did a short for it. And there's actually, you can watch it on YouTube. There's like
I need
10
an
minutes
electric.
short.
Is it called Code 8 as well?
electric.
The short, yeah.
Oh,
I think it's called Code 8, yeah.
Why a guy like you
Yeah.
got a van? We need to know who.
Well, the short is just a construction scene.
Because I was telling Bob, I didn't know they were related.
They're cousins.
Well, I know
Right,
that.
yeah.
I just assumed they were brothers.
Yeah, I think one guy is he plays the arrow on
He was
WTF.
in Arrow, and then the other guy
Yeah.
was on the Tomorrow.
How good is that electric?
But see, I watched him from an Amazon series called Upload,
There's
which
no
I
house
really
on
enjoy.
it. Light it.
First of all, I thought this guy has Tom Cruise potential.
I'm
He looked like
assuming
Tom
that
Cruise.
the audience is not hearing what we're saying right now.
No, actually, George mentioned that he plays the audio.
So
But I mean, right now, because we're just gabbing, and if you're
Some
going
of
to watch
his
that, we're
facial
driving
expressions.
Oh yeah, no, they're gonna hear us gabbing.
They might find it interesting.
Oh, and that kid from the Fast and Furious movies.
You know, you got mixed up with some bad people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cross that line, there's no coming back.
I know that actor. Who is that actor?
If I lose her, I got nothing
Let's
left.
see.
Pang or
We
something.
got another job coming up.
He was in all the Fast and
Sung Kang.
One shot.
Sun Kang. He was in, I think,
What's the
from
plan for
Tokyo
kidneys?
Drift on. He might have been in Fast and Furious
won't.
too, though.
But
He
I think
won't.
he's showing up now in the later ones.
He's showing that in the later ones, even though he was killed off at the end of Tokyo Drift.
He has great
Maybe the Fast and Furious decided to do the multiverse.
He has good
really.
man potential.
What's that?
I finally watched Fast and Furious.
He has great
First one?
man.
I've never seen the first or
He's
second.
very handsome and charismatic.
He's just so Canadian.
Well,
We'll ignore that remark.
So,
You're really going to have trouble with my review.
so Code 8.
yes.
Code 8 to me, well, basically, the movie is about there's, this world where they find there's superhuman, or people with superhuman abilities. It's not really a superhero movie. It's more about people with super abilities. And then they get hired to build this city. And then the laws change, and then they bring in the robotics to continue. So they all end up being out of work. And people have like super strength, or electricians, they're electrics, they can control, they can touch electricity or create. So they run around. You have to have a permit now to work, to use your powers, because it's illegal. And the character we follow, he has his mother's sick. She also has abilities. She can freeze things. And he's an electric, he creates electricity. So the movie follows him trying to, they kind of like the guys you see at Home Depot. They sit outside waiting for the truck to come on over and get some job.
Yes.
The movie's almost like a parallel to a lot of those, poor people who are looking for work. And he ends up getting a job from, I would say like the wrong people. So, but he pays really well when they use his abilities, and he ends up getting involved with the bad crowd who could use his abilities. And so they start doing things like, basically doing crime. And then basically that's the story we follow. I don't know how much I can give away, but I actually really enjoyed this movie. I've seen it twice. When I watched it, I have seen the trailers for a long time. I had no interest in seeing it. I thought maybe that I think Netflix just gave a different trailer. He just gave me a scene. He didn't give me an actual trailer, so I didn't like the scene. So like that's not like something I'll watch. But then I thought I'll give it a shot. And then the movie is also a Canadian film. and then I really enjoyed it. To me, I call it a movie about superhuman people, well, for adults. It's not really like a Marvel, and it's not Doctor Strange or Spider-Man. This is to me an adult, superhuman movie. The adult issues and adult stories were written. It's not like it doesn't code things like these people are committing crimes, using their abilities for crime. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the characters, and yeah. So,
Yeah.
I agree with you, George, that this is not a standard superhero movie. When I started watching, I said, "Oh, okay, this is a Canadian movie. There's Peter Outerbridge. It's a Canadian movie. There's Carrie Matchett. It's a Canadian movie. Is that Kim Coates? No, it's a guy named David Brick or something like that. And he was the villain. Terrific.
Mm-hmm.
He was really good. It was a very strong performance. Unusual. The two cousins, Robbie and Stephen Amiell. I know Stephen Amiell from Arrow, and Robbie Amiell from the Tomorrow People, which were both CW series. I think he did another one, and they are strong enough actors that you can build a movie around them, and this shows it. It's like there's so many things in this that I thought, if this were no offense to you guys, but if it were a typical like where they go to Canada to shoot a movie that is supposed to be taking place in the U.S., there's just something that, I mean, I don't care if you're playing the president of the United States, you learn to say out and not out. Because you blow the reality out of the water if you're supposed to.
Can't hear the difference. What?
Well, yes. Whether it's not a matter of what's the correct pronunciation. Obviously, we pronounce it one way, Canadians pronounce it a different way. But if you're playing the president of the United States and you've got a Canadian accent, you've lost me. Do your homework. And there was none of that in this. I mean, this could have taken place anywhere. I don't know whether it took place in the U.S., whether it took place in Canada. But what it was is a good, solid B movie, as we said before. It's a really good, solid B movie. The actors are very solid. The relationship between the mother and the kid is really touching, and I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Yeah, I agree with you. Code 8. Apparently, this is the most successful superhero film not based on an existing IP. Robert Amiell and Stephen Amiell raised the money for this film on a fundraising thing. And I was telling them that they were shooting for 200,000 and they got 3 million. So that was nice. And this is what I'm talking about. A lot of times my criticism of superhero movies is like kind of when they put a girl to do like a girl to do a guy's that normally or traditionally would do a guy role or whatever. It's like, come up with your own superhero. You don't have to change the superhero as it was written in 1930 and, but make a different one. And they made a different one. I thought that was so creative. They came up with this, kind of reminded me of X-Men, where they have these people. Yes, they're mutants. They're people, just like you and me. You could kill them. But they have these kind of talents, and people take them as dangerous, but they're not really accepted. So they're kind of in the underbelly of society. And I just thought that this is so smart. This could be a whole series. It's just so creative. So these guys really came up with a great idea. They did a great job of bringing it to fruition. Like the ends, they kind of brought them all together at the end. It was great. I don't generally enjoy superhero movies because it's like, oh boy, I'm so bored, right? But this one was so unique and different. Like, I really liked it. I thought it was great. So that's what I think.
I have a question before we move on from that. As I recall, it's just the mother and son who have the superpowers. The other, like Stephen Amell's character, he doesn't have any superpowers.
He does.
Does
he?
Yeah, no. In fact, there's a whole bunch of people who.
He's like a Magneto. Okay. He kind of elevates things.
Oh,
more
right,
like Phoenix, I should say.
They have different powers.
Remember he floats the light bulbs?
Yeah, I saw it days ago. I've seen a couple of other movies.
Yeah, they have different powers, but they're kind of, it doesn't make them indestructible.
Right.
They can be killed. They can be shot.
They just have these unique abilities.
Yeah.
That kind of makes them great criminals. They probably could be used for good, but they're too threatening. So they could
Like the
develop
Dead
that.
Zone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I never saw the Dead Zone.
No?
I don't know.
Oh my God. Christopher
That's
That
Walken.
was a
great
great
Canadian
movie.
movie.
Great movie.
I
Great,
guess.
great Canadian.
I saw it when I
Yeah.
was 10. I was like, brilliant.
Well, anyways,
I still
You're
do.
dead.
I just think these guys, and I thought the guy, Robert.
Robbie Amiell.
Yeah, but it's Robert Amiell.
Robbie.
It's
Whatever.
billed as Robbie.
Okay,
'Cause he's
Robert
Canadian.
Amiell.
He's always
Well-
been Robbie.
According to me, it was like I thought he had actually Tom Cruise kind of charisma.
Leading man
I actually thought it when he put first one. I was like, is that Tom Cruise? It was like he had certain shots that he just kind of looked like Tom Cruise. I was like, oh, this guy's got a future. It's good.
I'm going to be the bummer for this
Okay.
whole session. I'm telling you
Go
now.
Go ahead.
You know, at the beginning of this movie, I was telling George, I really like it. Interesting concept. And then it got boring. It's like nothing stood out. The superheroes, nobody stood out to me. It was like even the villain did not stand out. And the hero did not stand out. Nobody stood out. It became like vanilla. And I kind of lost interest.
Oh.
I think that's interesting because it is kind of a family movie. I mean, I don't mean a movie. I don't mean
I
a
know what
movie
you mean.
for families. I mean a movie made by a family. So it's like they're coming from a basis of making a story that has supernatural elements to it.
Right,
But it really is it's about like a mother and son.
right.
Even the bad guys, there's the girl who's a healer.
Yeah.
So and the guy, and he's really pivotal to the bad guy because he can read your mind.
Mhm.
So you really cannot shyster him. So I thought it was very clever, the abilities the characters had in the movie.
I think the ability, it's funny you say that because that's what it is. When you look at Marvel or anything, they have really strong superpowers.
They just don't have any humanity.
Yes, they do. Right? And
Really?
and they really stand out, each one. And there's a lot of them, right? This one, it's vanilla white.
Well,
That's
to me,
all
it's
I
like
can say.
that's why because everybody felt to me so much real in this movie. Like I could actually meet somebody with that. If Hulk showed up in this movie, he's killed the crap out of beat the crap out of everybody at the end. Hulk smash.
You know, in mentioning the Marvel things, to me the difference here is it's a good analogy because the Marvel movies are interesting until they get to the big fight at the end, and then I could just
Oh my God, I love the big fight. The big
Yeah,
fight
but I
and
mean,
the
but-
music with the big fight.
characters who are indestructible fighting each other. Gee, who's going to win? Who cares? Who
Well,
cares? Destroy the
Thanos
city.
did not win this time, and he's the big one.
Well, I'm with Bob on this. I
Yeah.
totally
I
agree
mean,
with
they're
you.
so-
I don't like big fight
They're
scenes
interesting
either.
characters, and the payoff is always just slam bang boom that goes on for 45 minutes, and you lose me. I fall asleep.
But like the end game, like I don't like long fights.
Well,
And
then
with the end game-
name one that doesn't have one in the Marvel universe.
In the end game, why I didn't mind how long the fight was, because there's another thread of the story going through it is to keep these stones, and you say each character doing their part to keep the stone away from Thanos.
Oh, so you agree with me?
No,
No, that's why I thought maybe of all the superhero ones, X-Men.
Yeah, I agree
Yeah, that's
with
probably
you. X-Men to me is
was,
that
yeah.
X-Men is like one to me that comes closest to also reality.
right.
Yeah.
Like Watchmen. I don't know if you saw the movie.
Yeah.
But,
I like them.
So, but
hated
this
that.
one to me, like even personally, it surpassed X-Men. I really enjoyed
this
this
they
one.
brought it to this world.
Yeah, they really
Yeah.
brought it to
Yeah, I agree. And it's a potential possibility, like it could happen. People could have, you never know with evolution, people could develop different,
I feel like, shh, be quiet.
abilities. And I thought, but it's really in the neophyte stage here, like the beginning stage. And that's why I say they could develop this really into a really good
Superhero movie.
Well, it's a
Yeah, in the superhero movie now, I'll be like, who can eat the most hamburgers?
You know that was saying before when she let Lan talk to The closest movie I thought came close to this one was Project Power, the Jamie Foxx one.
Oh yes,
I don't know if you guys ever
Yes.
saw
I
that
never
movie.
Yes.
saw that.
that was
It's
good.
very similar
Didn't
to
we
Project
do that
Power.
movie?
We did it.
that
Yeah, we
movie.
did. Yeah.
Isn't that
yeah.
a series or something?
No, it was just one movie.
Yeah.
It's the same idea, but
Yeah.
just like this movie actually, Project Power,
Yes.
which was my movie too. Funny enough.
Yes, I remember.
This can be
So
right.
The word I was going to put is not so much a superhero. It's kind of like
Enhanced individuals, I guess.
no,
or-
a series of movies where they develop and grow.
Now, the
and,
fifth one of that I'd see because
You
by
know,
then they're
yeah.
now super.
They-
But
hope.
I like that. I like that. I just like, ooh, I could see that they could make a.
They could,
Mhm.
yeah.
I don't know what you call that when you have a series of movies.
Well, there is. There
I
were
can't
A franchise.
A
A
franchise.
franchise, yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
I hope they don't make a franchise out of it. Though.
Well, they
You
can.
know they're
No, I'd
going
rather
to.
see a series of stuff, but a franchise is like a franchise means there's no suspense.
Well, here's the good part. It's like this is so unknown that I was looking for the the thing here to give me the actors and the who they are.
Right.
Mhm.
I cannot get it.
Okay.
These are
That's
all things I've
interesting.
never heard of before that I can't get IMB. I can't get.
Oh,
You can't get IMDb
because I have
really?
it on Wikipedia.
It's like it's
Maybe
just,
it's your agent. Your search engine is
Oh.
going. Are you sure you mean Tom Cruise?
I just say Tom Cruise. But that's why. Okay.
Tom, Lon,
Oh.
Tom.
Okay. Well, just so you know, George, when I was looking on like Wikipedia, it says they're doing a sequel to
Oh, it's
it.
already filmed.
Yes,
Yeah.
I can't
In fact,
wait.
if you look at
So-
Oh,
Netflix,
yeah, that's right. You know, on Netflix it
Yeah.
says
Cody,
they
two.
have
Oh, okay.
two.
Yes.
So for me, it's like I was almost like Patty that I was sort of like disappointed with some of it, but I have to appreciate for what it is though, because like you said, I think the lead guy. You're right. I don't know so much about Tom Cruise, but I found him extremely likable. That I'm with him the minute he's on, and you see his relationship with the mother and goes to work and how he is at the beginning. It's like, okay, he's hooked me. I like him. I think he's a good, solid character. But then it's when he gets involved with the crime, that's just like, oh, okay, because Bob will know this one too. At our age, we see a lot of movies, but there was this TV series called Heroes, and that's
Oh,
what this
yeah.
movie actually reminded me of. So I thought, oh, see, it's not
That's a
as
good point.
original, you know.
Right.
With this, but what I liked about it was the same thing about like, I don't want to say the seediness of crime, but you know, some of them had to resort to crime using their enhanced abilities to do things.
Right.
And a lot of times not for plain greed, literally to like help out family members and
survive.
stuff. Right. Like you can see he's motivated because the one thing was about his mother that he's so poor. She has cancer. They can't afford the operation. So that's why he goes into crime. And you understand that. See, now that still remains sort of a cliched kind of
Yeah.
story where it's like, okay, you understand that. But as they go along, it's like, okay, when you see the different enhanced abilities and what they come up with. But I have to admit, like middle of the movie, there was a little surprise to me. It's like, oh, okay, I didn't see this one coming. So it is entertaining to see how they react. Because first you have to get introduced into the world of that they're living in. What I like you guys mentioned, is that, oh, good. They don't put on costumes. They don't do this. They're regular human beings. And they're trying to live in our world in a way. And you're right, that they're somehow, at the beginning, they mentioned in the movie where they're doing little reports about the enhanced being. It's like, yeah, why can't they do things for good, like medical people, right? Or this, right? So you can see they're thinking about that. It's just that they don't know. Obviously, society, you just don't stop people from working just because they have enhanced abilities or get registered as they were
Well,
claiming.
they seem
right?
to be they seem to be entrapped by the underworld, like the girl.
Well, okay, one
she
of them
has
is.
a reason.
Exactly. One
he
of them
has
is.
a reason.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm saying, that you understand why, but a lot of them, they aren't. They were just like, when they go to a construction site, like George was saying, they're not doing anything real seedy, except they're not supposed to work on these buildings. And they do not bring up enough, in my opinion, of you have to realize these enhanced beings are the ones who actually created the city when they needed it most. And now they're looked down upon,
Mhm.
you know, which is, a great correlation for illegal immigration here, you know, like especially me living in Los Angeles when they talk about, oh, all these illegal immigrants come from Mexico and all this and that. It's like, Yeah, but look, they're the ones doing all of the work. You see it. You see it every single day.
You can put it that
You know?
way too, but you could also put it for the poor.
Mhm.
The poor,
Poor in
generally
general.
This
feel
movie is
clean
ripe with
and
metaphors.
feel
Yeah.
that-
And it makes another great point he made too when he's in the hospital because his mother is obviously sick.
Right.
And they go, well, that'll be $7,000 for that week at the hospital, $25,000 for this. I go, wow, that's really what
That's
you
not the
deal with.
future. That's now.
Yeah, that's now. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's what you deal with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, exactly. And that's the funny thing because I thought, well, that's why I figured it has to take place in America because it was Canadian. They have social
Yeah, right.
medicine.
Be a whole different story.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, who knows how they'd behave if they got guys with
Yeah,
superpowers.
I don't know how that is now.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I really don't.
There's no socialized medicine.
They don't have socialized medicine. They have.
They have what we had.
They have. Do we really want to get into that?
No, I don't.
Every province has its different thing.
Oh, it's done that. Because all I know is that the thing that surprised me when I had to ask for ID is that apparently your medical card is an official ID of Canada. That you can use that because it has your picture
Well,
and all
why
the
not?
information.
Your own
It's
card.
like given to you by the government.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean. So that's why I said, see, that's government sponsored
Yeah.
medical. So, but the thing about the movie is like, it didn't keep me in suspense.
No, me
that was the
either.
only thing that I thought would lack. But the drama was there, and that's what I actually appreciate the drama because I think you're right. I think the drama with him, the mother, and the healer, for example, that's good. The relationship between the two characters, Connor Reed and Garrett Kelton, or the two Amiell cousins, their relationship, like, it seemed to work that they were sort of loyal to one another.
Right.
Like, because the halfway through the movie where I said things happen, it's like, oh, that's turned out to be interesting. So I like that. So you're right that I can see where this will go forward now that they're the sequel. They're doing a sequel.
I'm sure somebody's giving him some money.
Well, that's the thing. I'm sure they did. Exactly. And so I hope they really start developing more about the characters and plot lines and what they like to do and not worry
Good
about
luck with that.
enhancing the abilities that people have. And I really hope they don't really try to follow like Heroes, the TV series Heroes, because then it's like, okay, I've seen this already. So
Yeah,
Well, but
no.
that's what you do.
Heroes was the first season of Heroes was sensational.
I thought the
and
first
they painted
three were
themselves into a
excellent.
corner.
I
The
like
first three series were, I thought, excellent. And
I
then you're
thought they
right.
only
Then
did-
they started going down.
I thought they
I've
only
seen
did
it.
2 series,
Five.
and then they came back with another one later
I would
on.
say,
They did
let's
five, I thought.
let's just hope they don't wear spandex in the sequel.
Exactly. That's the big difference for me. Because
Okay.
I agree with Patty, though. I like the big budgeted superhero movies. I like the special effects because this is my problem is that now, like Bob's saying, is like, oh, they're sort of almost the same, watching the same thing. So, but
I agree with you when you take out sort of and almost.
I actually try and follow those
Yeah.
fights, and that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Oh, well,
It's like-
see, I
it's
Yeah, how-
like-
I can't. I'm
if they make-
sleeping.
If they make
Yeah.
sense, you know what I mean? It's like,
Mhm.
so what are they doing? It's
Yeah.
like they just go so fast that wow.
Yeah.
That's another. that's
great.
another
You need
issue.
your own Tesseract.
Well,
Yeah.
the fight scene makes sense in this one too.
Okay,
Exactly.
So are we ready?
Yeah.
Okay,
you.
so I think it's
You.
me.
Yeah.
Who's
Yeah, because
was your
yeah.
movie?
No, it's my movie.
but
Skip.
I don't rate.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right. I'll give it an 8.
I give it a 6.
I gave it a 5.
I enjoyed it. I gave it a 10.
Good to go, George.
I
Yes.
think it had potential.
Yeah.
I definitely did. Okay,
So
so
we'll be back.
we'll be back.
And you guys should see Project Powers on Netflix.
I will
Jamie
now.
Foxx.
That'd be interesting.